is fate and what is destiny? Well, destiny is the voice of the soul. It's, again, not about occupation. It's about you evolving as a human here on earth to know yourself in every moment as pure magnificent consciousness. It's got nothing to do with then take that and apply that to and start a business. There's zero. So I'm inviting you to know that destiny is the path that most people don't take. They often fall into fate, because fate is the path where we create our journey. It is the path of the ego. But destiny is about, living accordingly to what you know to be true. And we can take this so deep to what you know to be true and also untrue about yourself, and what you know that you need to know. I'm sounding super spiritual here in the way that I'm sharing this knowledge, but living a path of truth in every moment. Am I actually doing the work that I'm called to do, or am I simply following an aspect of my ego? That's a fucking truth right there. Ask yourself this self-inquiry. Am I in this moment serving myself and the person in front of me equally? Or am I holding on to parts of the power and wanting to, make this person feel less than me? That's a truth that you want to start looking at. And what often comes with this is that, the path of destiny is also about radical detachment. And when you're doing intuitive readings, detachment is huge. And again, another lifelong teaching that you have to really commit to, because detachment, it belongs on the path of destiny. If you're still doing work and you're still like, I hope they don't feel this about me, I'm attached to what they think, I'm attached to whether they like me or don't like me, I'm attached to whether they think I'm a teacher or not a teacher, right? Still conversation of the mind, and still conversation of attachment, because you're attached then to humiliation, to sense of approval, to be, what's that word starting with V, validated. And so, again, lifelong work until you really, really commit to the fact that, no one, if you know your truth, you couldn't care less whether people are going to validate you or not, because you are so grounded in who you are and what you know in that moment, that you're simply being the channel of grace. It brings us right back to where we started from. And so destiny is the path of the soul, and is the language that we will use, and I will continue to use, and can't wait to do deeper workshops on. Because, even in the Sankalpa process, in the Magnificence process, the aspect that we go through in terms of Sankalpa, we are helping people learn to use their voice so that they can begin to find language to their destiny. We have to know also that is going to change every single time, and the more that they expand their consciousness. But we're detached from that, because the only reason we're doing that Sankalpa process is to help them get out of their reasoning conscious mind and begin to use language that actually aligns with the soul. Boom. Fate, it's the voice of the ego, that's fate. I walked into this person on the street and that was fate. Ultimately we, often at the core of who we are, have engineered that we know that they hang out there at some time. This is just a really shitty example, but that is the voice of the ego, is that we will continuously say, oh, this is fate, this is the path that I know that I'm meant to be on. And we know that it's fate because then it's attached to so many visions and outcomes that are ego-based, like because there's finance attached to this, because there's a romantic relationship attached to this, it's fate because there's status attached to this. And the reason why I use the word status is because so much of us, especially in our field of work, is that we're playing with so much sense of status. We're having to put our personalities out there into the world, which are ego primarily, and also be conscious in the way that we share as much of the wisdom and knowledge that we want to share. But then, you know, there's parts of us that we share aspects of our ego because we know that that's what people like. And all of this internal conversation that often can absolutely be a sign that we are, you know, creating out of fear, is the voice of the ego. And that is an engineered life. Fate is an engineered life. Destiny is when you have no power, no sense of attachment to what your work is. Nothing. You're in service to someone else because you want to be, because you love being in service. And that's the difference between being an intuitive reader and doing intuitive impressions on yourself, or receiving intuitive impressions on yourself, taking that wisdom and then applying it to the way that you offer readings, because you're in service to someone else. You are not at all involved in these sessions. You are not at all involved in these sessions. So learn how to detach yourself, and allow yourself to receive the information. And if you're not receiving anything, go and do the work. Learn more how to be open, clear your shitty fear, clear your ego in a way that, you know, you're making truthful decisions that are in alignment with your soul. And just a final bullet point there is that fate speaks in past and attachment. So fate will always create something that you have created before. And I'm not using that in terms of repeating your programs or anything like this. We're talking about your spiritual development here. Your fate, you know that fate and your ego is speaking, and a path of fate is being created because you are attaching yourself. One, we've already spoken about that, but you're also taking you're also taking an experience that has happened in the past as almost a sense of safety, right? You're going, okay, well, I've achieved that before, now I'm going to do that again. I've done that in that way, now I'm going to do that again. That's a fateful path. It's not an evolving path of destiny. And now I'm not saying any of this to be like, boom, this is the only way. I'm saying that these are the truths, and these are the laws that we work with when it comes to really understanding the path of the soul.